Hope you're having a good day. It has been about 5 months since I've updated this tree. This is my Brazilian rain tree, Cascade. Just a brief history. This was a sacrifice branch that was on that on the original tree there, and then the sacrifice branch had kind of came out and did a bunch of twisting and turning, and because I never pruned it, it never lignified, and I realized how flexible it was, and just after a little while I was like, well, I could make a cool little cascade out of it. I tried to air layer off the main part of the tree, kind of failed, kind of worked. That's one of my better looking trees right now, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come around here, I'm going to address some of the apex problems, issues that I'm going to deal with now that might enable me to kind of change the angle up a little bit. I won't be able to show you all the angles, just it's very hard to get the camera far enough away where I can even get it all in the picture there. You can see some of it hanging off here. But problems with the apex, not really problems, just things I'm going to do right now is know how well you guys can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually, right there from where I pruned it. I mean, this was the initial chop. I was letting it go too much. I realized that I couldn't let it go like that because it was sapping all the energy from the cascade. Almost all trees are apical, meaning that they grow up. I guess there's only a few types of trees that really have a grow out kind of a pattern. And of course, it's going to take the easiest way, which is right here from the trunk up this way. So I've been cutting these back pretty aggressively. I'm going to do that now. Might enable me to kind of get a little bit of a better angle so you guys can see this cascade a little bit. But I'm going to cut, a couple things. I've been trying to come up each time a little bit. Right here, I could cut it. Just to give an example, I could cut it here, leave that leaf pointing that way in the hope that it'll just kind of continue going that way, and it would. But this one is kind of getting messy, and it's got a bud that came right out of the side, and it's kind of instead of coming straight up. So I'd like to use that, and so I'm just going to take off the rest of that branch. Left plenty for dye back there. It should dye back to that. Might even get another little sprout out of there. But since that came straight out and I don't have to worry about that just poking straight up, I took that off. And then again here, this is probably the thicker one of the ones kind of coming up here. And it's got, one coming towards me. It's got a little branch coming that way and a branch coming that way. And then now it's even got two branches coming up here. And so what I'm going to do there is just go ahead and take that down all the way below that. I left this side. Well, if I could get a close-up of the other way, but I can't really turn it because that would put me through the wall on that side there. But there's actually 2 buds coming out of this side here, hoping maybe they kind of come out like that. Of course, now that I've cut it, that may actually make them go straight up, but I'll live with it, whatever happens. And then this, again, it might be kind of hard for you guys to see. This is a branch that was just kind of, I thought about saving it as a secondary cascade. It was actually probably about where my cutters are there at one point, but I decided I only really wanted one cascading, as it was kind of, it gets big enough, long enough growth on there and everything. So I left it as just a kind of a little point of interest. It's worked pretty well, but this right here, again, just kind of some of that apical growth. So I'll go ahead and take that off there. This one should be okay. And then this one, I think I'll just take off a lot of that new growth and get down to that lignified growth. And then this is another one. The little branch just kind of sprouted up there. I'd like to keep it kind of going more that way if I could. This one's kind of coming back towards us a little bit. So is this guy. I didn't even see that there. I'll take that off. It's got a leaf coming out of that side. It's a little bit bud coming out of there. It's got a fork there. But since it's got a leaf coming out of that side, I'll leave that there with the leaf coming out. And then just maybe take that whole fork off there. So in the 5 months, I have cut the apex back probably, I'm going to say maybe twice a month or something like that, where I barely touched the Cascade part at all. And now that I've shortened it some, I'll go ahead and see if we can't get a little better look at the Cascade part. All right, so I got it set up a little bit better now where you should be able to see the Cascade a little bit better than it was. Can't really see the ends, but getting ready to cut those off anyway. And just kind of go through my thought process here of what it is I'm doing. I've got this piece that really didn't do much growing, but it does have new growth coming out of the end there. This piece that just really kind of shot out there, and that's actually, it's kind of weird that this side is actually the side facing the sun right now, and this is the side that's not facing the sun. Then it comes down to this piece, which then had this longer piece, plenty of growth, growing towards the middle and kind of breaking up that alternating branch. That's going to be the first one I'm just going to take out completely there. Left just a little tiny nub for a little bit of dieback. I'm hoping it actually doesn't sprout from there. Probably you can't really see it without taking a really close look, but there is a little bud coming out of that group of leaflets there. That would be pointing down, so I'm hoping that might happen there. And then it comes down to this branch, which is kind of odd that it had this piece that kind of grew in this piece, that it just seemed to kind of skip growing altogether. I'm actually going to take, this one actually has two, not that I mind the two, but I'm just going to take the one off just to simplify it a little bit for when I wire it. But actually has the one that kind of came in and around, and then this one here that just kind of took off that way. I'm going to put a little wire on it today. I'm going to try to correct that a little bit, and so what I'm going to do is just take that piece off there. And then over here, these did a lot more of what it was that I wanted to do. Everything except, and again, some of this is hard for me to tell what you guys can see or not. There's this piece that came here and actually just kind of made its own little S shape there. I took the wire off. When I say I haven't done anything to the Cascade, I did take wire off not too long ago. You might be able to see it was cutting in there. I actually kind of forgot it was on there. But this thing kind of came off and went all curlicue on us. And I could try to fix it with wire, but not quite all of it. And so I'm going to take that off up to right about there. Lift that leaflet there. Again, that's about the same distance as that. And then what I've got left, I'd like to, this one, didn't cut it all because that was the weakest part of the growth there. Of course, now that I've cut that off, it should kind of grow pretty well. But that is terminal, so meaning that it's at the end here. I'm going to try to leave that like it is. So what I want to do is I want to prune this to be about the same length, because I'm going to wire those two together. And then I have my choice of, so I have my alternating leaflets, and I have my choice of, there's leaflet here and then one pointing away there, and so I'll go about halfway between those two nodes and leave that pointing away there. And then again, just to kind of keep it somewhat symmetrical, this thing's going to explode with all kinds of weird growth as long as we don't get any big cold snaps coming up. But I'm going to cut this one because these two are going to be wired together. And I'll leave this one here without any wire on it. I don't know if you guys can see that little bit of new growth right there. It looks pretty cool. But I'm going to take and cut this off at about the same length as that. But again, I want to get a node going that way if I could. Alright, so the wire's on there. to get one wrap between each thorn, and I was trying to avoid the thorns. You'd think out here towards the end it'd be a little bit better, but even the smaller thorns hurt a little more because you can't really see them coming. I do just wanted to get this one out a little more as opposed to growing in. So remember, I pruned that bit off there, and then this one just down a little bit, and a little bit of movement in there. Rain trees really do give some pretty good movement between each node. Now my thought is right here. I don't know if you guys can really see that or not. It kind of naturally turned up that way. But what I'd want to, I don't know how far down I really want to go. But what I'd like to do is take it down further than it is. And then hope, instead of these guys just lengthening out more, that we just get back budding all up in through there. And then those will be the pieces that will come up, and these will in turn lignify and hopefully thicken and be the bottom part of that cascade when it comes back up. These two are the short ones. I wasn't really planning on putting on any wire there first, but then once I saw what I had, realized I want to, if they continue to bud out of there at all, I do want them to come out from a good start. And then I kind of keep my branches right, left, right, left. Got this extra one here. Now we'll take a look at these. And again, mainly just down for these two. And this one. And again, that's not a whole lot more movement than what was already naturally there. But definitely back down. This one I should be able to get a little more, well, yeah, a little bit of a crook in there. I do definitely want that. I did mention this. I was going to leave this. This is just another branch that I had just kind of let go. Some of these that were coming out, I was cutting down to the trunk line. I had let this one go, but now that I cut all the terminal buds off except for this one way down here, I don't want the tree to like act as if this is now the new apex or anything. So I'm just going to cut it back to the second node there. And it should just kind of continue growing out that way. If not, it's not a branch that I'm heartbroken if I lost or anything like that. But all right, and since since this is a rain tree video, I thought I'd throw a little update to this guy at the end. It was actually 1 week ago today. I did a video on this where I cut it all the way back. I had let it go for quite a while, and just as I put the other one back outside there, I noticed the back budding that this thing is getting. And it's getting it all over. There's one there, one there. There's a little bit coming out there. And even some of these, like this one right there, has 2 buds coming out of it.